The service had already ended when he finally asked the question. People were gathering codes, speaking in softened voices, retelling polished memories that felt safe enough to share. Grief has a way of smoothing the edges of a person, turning them into something easier to hold. But he wasn't looking for something easy. He was looking for something true. A crew member approached him quietly, almost reluctantly, as if unsure whether this was the right moment. She mentioned a habit, something small, something consistent. Every morning, before the lights warmed and before the noise of production swallowed the day, Newman would arrive early. He would walk across the empty set, stop at his co-star's chair, and leave something there. Then he would walk away. No announcement, no witnesses invited, no acknowledgement requested. The co-star stood still as she spoke, replaying years of mornings he thought he understood. He had noticed something in that chair before. He had picked it up, read it, set it aside, and never once asked who had placed it there. Why hadn't he looked closer? She did not tell the story like someone chasing attention. She told it like someone who had carried it for years and finally realized it mattered. She had worked as a key grip across multiple productions, the kind of professional who arrives before sunrise and leaves long after the cables are coiled. She understood routine, she understood discipline, and she understood patterns. Every morning, she said, he was there first. Not occasionally, not when schedules were light. Every morning. Call time could be 4:30, it could be 6, it could follow a night shoot that wrapped past midnight. It did not matter. He would arrive before the crew trucks finished unloading, before the assistant directors called for quiet, before the rhythm of the day began. And he would walk straight to that chair. The chair with his co-star's name stitched across the back. The same chair that traveled from production to production like a small declaration of identity. He would stop, place something carefully on the seat, adjust it once as if making sure it wouldn't fall, and then leave. No hesitation, no glance around to see who noticed, no attempt to turn it into a moment. Have you ever witnessed a habit so consistent it stops feeling like a gesture and starts feeling like a vow? She wasn't the only one who saw it. Lighting technicians mentioned it casually over coffee. A wardrobe supervisor once joked that you could set your watch by his arrival. Over 7 years and multiple films, different crews rotated in and out, but the ritual never changed. People assumed it was understood between the two men, some private exchange too personal to question. No one asked. They simply accepted that this was something he did. And that's what makes it powerful. It wasn't grand, it wasn't announced, it was steady. The kind of steadiness most people talk about but rarely practice. Every morning, without exception, he showed up first and left something behind, then walked away as if the meaning belonged to someone else. He had seen them every day and never questioned their origin. Each morning he would arrive, pick up the small items on his chair, glance at them briefly, and set them aside, assuming they were reminders from the production staff or notes related to the scene ahead. They were just part of the machinery of the set, ordinary and unremarkable in the routine of long days and endless takes. And yet, as he listened now, the realization began to unsettle him. Could it be that for all those mornings, all those quiet minutes before the day began, he had been unaware of the true source of these messages? They were not instructions, they were not production notes. They were handwritten cards, each one carefully inscribed, each one unique, each one carrying a message meant only for him. A sentence that might reference a line of dialogue, a memory of a conversation, a private joke, or a thought that had lingered from the night before. The handwriting was familiar, though he hadn't recognized it. The words were intimate, precise, and quietly profound. He had held them in his hands countless times, yet their true significance had remained invisible until now.
And suddenly, the past 30 years of mornings, the rhythm of the routine he had thought he understood, shifted. The weight of the unnoticed thought, the unseen care settled around him. How many moments of life pass with meaning hidden in plain sight? How often do we overlook gestures that were intended to steady us, to remind us we are seen, even when we do not realize it? It was too late for him to experience the surprise as it had been given, but the truth carried its own quiet gravity, reshaping memory into something more sacred, something finally understood. He began making the calls slowly, deliberately, as if each connection might untangle a thread of the truth. The first voice on the line was familiar, yet tinged with surprise. Yes, they confirmed, he was always there first. Rain or shine, the early mornings meant stepping into a quiet set, empty chairs, scattered scripts, and waiting for the day to begin. They remembered the cold November air, the fog curling around the lights, and the way he moved without needing acknowledgement. They remembered the nights when tension had lingered between him and his co-star, arguments that left silence heavy in the air. Yet still, every morning he would arrive, make his way to the chair, leave his mark, and walk away. Another voice confirmed it, recalling a day when a sudden downpour soaked the lot, yet he continued the ritual without hesitation, the rain dripping off his jacket, the routine unbroken. It was never meant to be noticed, never intended for applause, and yet the consistency spoke louder than any speech could. As more calls were made, the pattern emerged with clarity. Newman had instructed them not to tell, not a casual suggestion, but a request rooted in understanding. He wanted it to remain private, to hold the meaning in silence. The ritual was not about recognition, it was about presence, about the steady proof that someone cared enough to mark each morning with thoughtfulness, even when it could be ignored. Each confirmation added weight, each story reinforced the rhythm, and the mystery deepened. Why keep it secret? Perhaps because some acts, to remain pure, must exist only in the quiet, a language of care too intimate to expose, yet too consistent to be accidental. He never revealed himself, and that was the point. Imagine someone knowing you so well that they understand exactly how you receive care, how you absorb reassurance, and how a gesture could shift the course of your day without a single word. Newman recognized the rhythm of his co-star's mind, the way he carried confidence yet hid insecurities beneath composure. To announce himself would have altered everything. Gratitude might have created awkwardness. Attention might have distracted from the work they were building together. And so he remained unseen, a quiet current beneath the surface of daily life. What does it mean to care without expecting recognition? Most gestures are tethered to acknowledgement, yet Newman operated on a different language, one that transcended applause. He understood that true loyalty, true observation is often invisible. It exists not to impress, but to steady, to affirm silently that someone is thought of first, even when the world does not notice. Every morning, through rain, through exhaustion, through arguments and tension, he offered that proof of presence. It was deliberate, intimate, and unrepeatable by anyone who lacked that understanding. And in that silence lies a lesson far beyond the set, far beyond any Hollywood story. We measure love and respect by what is said, but often the most profound impact comes from what is done quietly. The unseen consistency, the daily proof of attention, the deliberate absence of expectation, that is where trust, loyalty, and care flourish. How many moments have you overlooked because they were not announced? How many people have shown up for you silently, asking for nothing in return? And how often did you notice? Newman's silence was not absence, it was presence perfected, a reminder that some of the deepest truths require no audience at all. He unfolded the last card slowly, the paper thin and slightly creased, the ink faded from decades of handling, but still unmistakably deliberate. The words were simple, almost understated. It has been an honor standing beside you. Nothing grandiose, nothing public, just a quiet acknowledgement of the shared journey, the work, the time spent together in those long, early mornings. What made it extraordinary was not the sentence itself, but the timing. Neither of them knew it would be the final day of their collaboration, the last time the routine would carry its unseen weight across the set. How often do we realize only in retrospect the significance of a gesture, a note, a word carefully placed and silently offered? He held it in his hands, feeling the decades of mornings, of small sentences left and forgotten, and understood that this final one carried all the meaning of the rest. It was not a farewell, but a testament to presence, to consistency, to care that required no acknowledgement. The weight of it settled slowly, allowing him to feel both gratitude and the quiet ache of loss. And in that realization lies a lesson for all of us. The acts of thoughtfulness we overlook, the moments we assume are ordinary, may hold the deepest truths. Sometimes the most profound messages arrive in silence, in small notes, in gestures that only later reveal the depth of their significance.